Welcome back to the channel, where today we dive into the fascinating world of numismatics, and specifically, one of the most astonishing and rare coin-related discoveries ever reported, the mysterious and almost mythical 1995 Lincoln 1-cent coin that has made headlines for allegedly being worth an eye-watering $163 million. A valuation that sounds absolutely unbelievable at first glance, but when we dig deeper into the realm of minting errors, historical anomalies, and collector mania, we start to uncover the intriguing story behind how a seemingly ordinary penny could possess such extraordinary value. So buckle in and get ready for a deep exploration of coin collecting at its most extreme, because this single paragraph journey is going to take you through every possible nuance, mistake, error, rarity, and hypothetical twist that might contribute to this coin becoming one of the most talked about and overvalued, or perhaps appropriately valued, pieces of American currency in history, beginning first with a look at the 1995 D-cent's origin, minted in Denver in the same year as a more well-known era coin, the 1995 double die from the Philadelphia Mint, which featured a dramatic doubling of the word liberty and the motto "I in God We Trust" on the obverse, sparking tremendous interest among collectors and fueling widespread examination of coins from the same year, leading to an environment ripe for the discovery of abnormalities and anomalies. But the 1995 D-cent was, on the surface, supposed to be just a regular coin, millions of which were struck without incident. But this one coin, this supposedly ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc, allegedly contained a combination of factors so rare and so baffling that its value skyrocketed in numismatic circles to mythical proportions, with collectors and experts speculating about its origins and condition. Beginning with rumors of it being struck on a foreign planchet, possibly a bronze alloy rather than the intended zinc composition, a mistake that would immediately make it stand out due to its weight and color. And though errors like these are rare, they are not unheard of, with similar bronze planchet errors having been found in earlier or transitional years like 1982, giving some plausibility to the idea. And adding to this was speculation that the coin exhibited doubling errors on both the obverse and reverse, something that would be exceptionally rare for any cent, especially from the Denver Mint in that particular year. And if the doubling was as strong or stronger than the well-known 1995 double die from Philadelphia, it could generate serious collector interest. But the story doesn't end there, because the coin also allegedly features misalignment in the die strike, with the obverse shifted noticeably from center while the reverse remained centered. A type of error that numismatists call an off-center strike or misaligned die error, depending on the specifics, and these kinds of mistakes are relatively rare but not unprecedented, yet when combined with a doubled die, foreign planchet, and other minor anomalies, the value of the coin can be significantly amplified, particularly when the coin is in pristine, uncirculated condition, potentially graded at MS68 or higher by professional grading services, a factor that exponentially increases a coin's worth. Especially if it's the finest known example, because collectors will often pay astronomical sums for a coin that holds a Pop 1 status, meaning it is the only one graded at that level. But what makes the 1995 D-cent even more controversial and intriguing is the mysterious presence of what some claim to be a third-party counterstamp or unusual mint mark overlay that appears to combine both AD and AP in the mint mark location, a nearly impossible occurrence under standard minting protocols. Unless we begin to entertain the possibility of experimental strikes, intentional errors by rogue mint workers, or coins being struck using retired dies improperly retooled or reused, which has happened in rare instances throughout U.S. mint history, though always under mysterious or poorly documented circumstances, adding fuel to the conspiratorial fire that surrounds this particular coin. But wait, there's more to the story. Because numismatic forums and expert blogs have speculated that the reverse of the coin may exhibit a clash mark, a ghostly outline of the obverse design visible on the reverse due to a die clash, a type of error that occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring parts of their designs onto each other, and then imprinting those ghost designs onto coins until the dies are replaced. And if this 1995 D-penny shows such evidence, and particularly if those clash marks are deep or unusually positioned, it would again enhance the coin's uniqueness, making it desirable to a certain class of error collectors, But this coin's saga doesn't stop at physical anomalies alone, because the legend of its astronomical valuation also involves the coin's provenance, and the way it came to public attention, reportedly discovered in an estate collection of a former mint employee or inspector, depending on which version of the story you follow, and having remained hidden for decades until a high-profile appraisal and eventual auction listing placed its theoretical worth in the hundreds of millions, a valuation supported not by a sale, but by a combination of expert estimation, collector frenzy, and perhaps most importantly, extreme rarity compounded by media amplification, because in the world of collectibles, perception and narrative can be just as powerful as physical traits, and if a coin is hyped to the point of legend and only one is known to exist, its value can skyrocket not purely because of intrinsic metal content, or even the sum of its physical errors, but because it becomes a kind of talisman of rarity, a holy grail item in the collector universe. And so we arrive at the staggering $163 million figure, a sum that boggles the mind for something that originally cost 1 cent to produce, and whether or not that figure reflects its actual market value or simply a speculative upper limit fueled by media, collector desire, and scarcity psychology, the coin's fame continues to grow, with new theories emerging all the time about how such a specimen could exist, including the possibility of it being struck using a retired die from a different mint that was accidentally or deliberately sent to Denver, or the notion that the coin is part of an ultra-secret batch of test strikes, perhaps even using experimental compositions or techniques. And with so many unknowns and unverifiable claims swirling around it, the coin takes on a mythic quality. Much like the 1943 copper penny or the 1974 aluminum cent, coins whose existence is surrounded by controversy, legal battles, and intense scrutiny, and yet the 1995 descent manages to blend elements from all these famous numismatic tales into a single narrative, combining die doubling, off-metal striking, min-mark irregularities, die clashes, off-center alignment, ghosting, potential tampering or rogue striking, and high-grade preservation into one legendary package. And while many skeptics rightly question whether such a coin can be valued so highly without an actual sale to support the number, the very discussion around it has served to increase its notoriety and thus its perceived worth, making it an artifact not just of minting history but of human fascination, storytelling, and the deep psychological drivers behind collecting. And so as we wrap up this extraordinary tale of a penny that has achieved the impossible by becoming worth more than many paintings, houses, and even rare diamonds, we're left with the reminder that in the world of collectibles, value is as much about uniqueness and story as it is about material or logical market demand, and that sometimes, just sometimes, a tiny coin can capture the imagination of an entire community, drive prices into the stratosphere, and turn an everyday object into a priceless treasure. So keep your eyes peeled, your magnifiers ready, and your minds open, because you never know what hidden gem might be lying in your pocket change, waiting to be discovered and written into the pages of history as the next great numismatic marvel. And the story doesn't end there, because as we continue to peel back the layers of intrigue surrounding the 1995 1 cent coin, more theories, expert observations, and speculative elements come into focus, adding to the ever-growing tapestry of mystery that has turned this copper-plated zinc disc into a cultural artifact of unbelievable magnitude. And among those theories is one particularly persistent and fascinating idea, that the coin was part of a covert testing program by the U.S. Mint, possibly during a transitional phase in planchet composition experimentation, when new alloys or plating methods were briefly tried but never released to the public, resulting in a small number of prototype coins accidentally or deliberately slipping into circulation. And if the 1995 penny was part of such a program, its unique metallic composition could be not just a minting mistake, but a deliberate divergence from standard protocol, making it historically significant beyond its physical anomalies. And in the context of mint operations, especially during the 1990s when the mint was modernizing and shifting toward more efficient production techniques, such hidden experimentation isn't completely outside the realm of possibility. And if a coin like this was struck using leftover or experimental blanks from previous decades, such as copper or bronze alloy planchets from the pre-1982 era that somehow ended up in the feed bin at the Denver Mint by mistake. It could be responsible for subtle but measurable differences in color, density, and sound when the coin is dropped, differences that a skilled numismatist might detect immediately, triggering further investigation that ultimately reveals a perfect storm of rarity-inducing attributes. And these factors, combined with the growing popularity of error coins and die varieties in the numismatic marketplace, have made such anomalies not just collectible novelties but objects of obsession, with certain collectors going to great lengths to acquire the most bizarre and inexplicable errors, sometimes at any cost. Which is why a coin like this, whether its valuation of $163 million is exaggerated or not, becomes a lightning rod for attention, a symbol of the intersection between manufacturing imperfection and human passion. But the lore surrounding this coin grows even deeper when we consider the possibility that it exhibits a rare form of transitional die polishing, where the mint's die cleaning process left unexpected lines or overpolished certain design elements, potentially weakening key details like Lincoln's bow tie or the steps of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, anomalies that on their own might not generate massive value, but in concert with everything else, off-metal composition, die doubling, die clashes, misaligned strikes, mint-mark peculiarities, high mint state preservation, and possibly even unique striations from the planchet rolling process, serve to elevate the coin's mystique into the stratosphere. And let's not forget the speculative yet oft-mentioned theory that the coin may have been struck using a retired proof die, something that would account for its unusually sharp detail and mirror-like finish, elements not typically found on business strike cents from the Denver Mint. But if such a thing occurred, it would signal either an incredibly rare minting accident or a potentially unauthorized striking event. The kind of occurrence that leads to heated debates among experts, certification disputes, and even investigations into Mint protocol violations. And while the U.S. Mint has strict policies to prevent such errors, history has shown us that anomalies slip through from time to time, whether by accident or intentional design, and those coins, when verified and certified, often command unprecedented premiums on the open market. And to add yet another layer of intrigue, some experts have claimed that under high magnification scanning, the coin reveals microtext or unusual microengraving patterns near the rim or fields, the kind of precision detailing that may have been part of a security test or early anti-counterfeiting measure that never went into full production, raising the possibility that this cent may represent not just a freak of the minting process, but a relic of technological experimentation. And such a theory, though speculative, only serves to increase its allure. Because if true, the coin would not only be rare in physical error terms, but historically significant as an artifact of unpublicized innovation, a kind of ghost prototype from a parallel design universe within the Mint's secret of archives. And whether these features are genuine or the result of wishful thinking and pareidolia on the part of hopeful collectors, the fact remains that every new supposed discovery only serves to elevate the coin's status as a legendary outlier in the world of American currency. And while skeptics may scoff at the $100 million price tag, citing lack of auction records or confirmed provenance, others argue that this coin's value lies not in liquidity or ease of sale, but in its symbolic weight as the ultimate dream find, a once-in-a-lifetime artifact that validates the lifelong pursuits of hobbyists, treasure hunters, and numismatic purists who believe that within every roll of cents or old coffee tin of coins from Grandpa's attic could be hiding a masterpiece of minting mayhem, a coin so profoundly rare that it defies valuation and becomes an item of pure mythological status, the kind of coin that transcends markets and enters the domain of legend, much like the 1804 silver dollar or the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, coins that were never meant to exist, yet do, and now command reverence from every corner of the collecting world. And so this humble yet otherworldly 1995 descent continues to captivate imaginations, spark debates, and inspire obsessive hunts across the country, with amateur and professional collectors alike scouring their change, visiting coin shows, and submitting their finds to certification services in the hope that maybe, just maybe, they too might stumble upon the next great anomaly, a coin that not only defies the odds but redefines what we think is possible in the world of minting and collecting, and perhaps that is the true legacy of the $163 million cent. Not merely its material or historical quirks, but its ability to inspire wonder, to trigger investigation, to bring people together around a shared passion for uncovering secrets hidden in plain sight, and in doing so, to turn even the smallest and most overlooked object, the lowly penny, into a vehicle for discovery, obsession, and yes, potentially unimaginable fortune. And whether the coin eventually sells for that legendary amount or remains a mythical one-of-a-kind enigma. Its story is now forever etched in the lore of American numismatics, a tale told in hushed tones at coin conventions and debated passionately on online forums, a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are the ones hiding in the most ordinary of places, waiting patiently for someone with the curiosity, knowledge, and perhaps a little luck to bring them into the light and change numismatic history forever.